eustress, which is spelled, by the way, EUSTRESS. It's Latin. It's not you, like just a you, or you meaning you. It's you meaning good. Good stress is one part of understanding stress. And the other part is distress. Dis means evil, bad, yuck. So distress is bad stress. And what we've done is we've taken good stress and bad stress and glommed them all together and said, okay, there's just stress. But there's not. They're two different kinds. Actually, there are many different kinds. It's like snowflakes in the way it affects us. And the more we understand about the differences in stress, the easier it's going to be for us to leverage those differences for ourselves in creating better performance, more happiness, more achievement, more of whatever we want. This week, I was so stressed. And I was thinking about it. And then I thought, wait, I know a whole lot about stress. And if I process that and use it, then I can also share it with you. And maybe we can all be less stressed, right? That's the goal. Part of how you get there is what I'm really going to focus on today. And that is stress can be good. Stress can be good. It's just how we react. And I'm going to teach you where the levers are to change stress into a good thing, baby. This all started 45 years ago. I had to figure it out with a calculator. I was 27 years old and I was living in Washington, D.C. Just by the luck of the draw, I got to hear from the guy who invented the concept of stress. I mean, I thought we always knew about stress, but it turned out there was a doctor who specialized in hormones, an endocrinologist, who invented it. And he invented it because he asked a simple question. And you know what I'm finding? So many of the things we need to change in our life start with asking ourselves a simple question. Okay, I got 5 patients. They all have different illnesses. They all look sick. Why do they look sick? Can't call professors in Austria 1920 dudes, but in my mind, he's like, dudes, why do they all look sick? And they told him, hit the books, bro. We are not interested in your questions. But he was, and he researched it, and he found out when the body is under pressure, it responds by releasing all this stuff. And you all know about that, so I don't go into it in a lot of detail, but your body releases chemicals, and those chemicals act on your brain and on your nervous system and on your heart and on your veins and on your tummy and on your attitude. I know that you know that I know that you know about stress because we feel it every day and we read about it. And we know that our body is suddenly getting these chemicals that go through and hit our brains, hit our hearts, hit our tummies, hit our everything, right? But what we haven't talked a lot about, and what I'm going to talk to you about in this video, is good stress. In that lecture, all those decades before, Dr. Selye said there are 2 kinds of stress. He called it eustress because he wanted to be Latin and fancy, and distress. There was good stress and there was bad stress. Somehow that got glommed into this one idea of generalized stress. And it got into our collective thinking about stress. And what we thought was all stress is bad. All stress is bad. And when you look at even videos on YouTube, they're all about stress is bad, 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 bad. And here's what you do to get rid of it. But I'm going to talk to you about today is, no, that's wrong. Stress can be good. And I'm going to give you some mental tools, some tools to work with your thoughts so that when you think about stress differently, your body will experience it differently and your life will be better. Actually, this week, my life has been better because I've been thinking about stress, having been reminded about good stress in a different way. So what's the thing that happens with good stress? Well, good stress increases our performance. Sports, who hasn't been in the starting blocks waiting for the gun to go off? There's that, right? You're ready to go. Who hasn't been changing into clothes to get ready for a game? You're feeling it. Who hasn't been at work, even on a Zoom call, trying to get it together to make an impression on somebody when you're on a Zoom call and you're not in the room? You're feeling that stress. That kind of stress is good stress. It's good because it gets your body ready for whatever your body and your brain have to do in the short term. Good stress, pretty much all the time, is short term. It's like a quick hit. Yes, you got those hormones racing through you and are going to help you perform. Love that. Now, here's an image that stayed with me because stress hits me right in my tummy. Oh, right in the tummy. It's like right there. And then I saw this comedy sketch by the late Robin Williams, and he was talking about having stage fright. Who would have thought it? Robin Williams had stage fright. And the way stress hit him, whether he was performing in a big arena or on a comedy special or in a small club, was it hit him in the tummy. And he needed to go to the bathroom right away. You know that dance. Now, gotta go. And the way he phrased it was, everybody out, everybody out. Well, nobody likes that, right? Nobody likes feeling like they have mini stomach flu and you got to race for the toilet. But that's what stress does, because where stress happens sometimes is in the back of the brain, the old part of the brain. And that part of the brain, you've heard this before, is getting ready for physical danger. If you are running from a saber-toothed tiger, you don't want to be full. You want to be empty. You want to have a lighter load. You can't stop and say to the saber-toothed tiger, hold on a second, I got to pee. Not happening. So in the modern world, our body does the same thing. And I learned to associate that feeling as a bad feeling. Oh, that stress, it's bad. Don't want that. When I started making my living for a while as a motivational speaker, I still got that feeling every time, but I started looking at it as just part of my prep. That's a good thing. I do my makeup, I check my hair, I worry about my outfit, I make sure that the slides are in correctly, because one time they weren't. I got completely thrown off my game. So I do all my prep, and part of that prep is my stomach's going to do weird stuff, and that's okay, because that's where the edge came from. That's what helped me perform at a slightly higher level than I would have otherwise. And that's what helps you perform. So part of the idea is to say, oh yeah, that's you. You're stressed. Okay, big deal. So I'm very curious, and I know the community is curious. Where do you feel the stress in your body? You know, I feel it in my tummy, obviously. Robin Williams felt it in his tummy and south of his tummy. I have friends who feel stress in their head. They get really bad headaches. Where do you notice stress? Does it make you feel like you're sweating too much? Does it make your head hurt? Does it make your muscles ache? Does it trigger some kind of autoimmune disease you have? Let's talk about where you're feeling it, because anything you can name, you can start to change. Whoa, it took me a long time to learn that. So when you can name where you're experiencing the stress, you can observe it and you can change it. As I started thinking about stress and going from stressing about stress to obsessing about stress, well, can you tell I had speech therapy as a kid? I realized that stress and the reaction of it, the more I observe stress and the more I talk to other people about it, I realize that everybody is stressed by different things, and everybody experiences the messages it's giving them differently. So let me give you an example. I have a guy friend. I love him. I'll say it to his face. He's an adrenaline junkie. He loves like dropping out of helicopters and skiing the double black diamond. And he went off to go surfing in Tahiti, where he shouldn't have been. There were waves that were way too big for him. And I said, so how would it have been, right? I would have been on the beach with a blanket over my head, shivering in fear. I would have been so stressed I wouldn't have been able to look at the water. He said, oh, wow, it was great. Okay. For him, it wasn't stressful. And it wasn't stressful because he loved it and he felt in control of it. He felt in control of it because he'd set it up so he was in control. He was with other guys. He had worked with an instructor. He'd waxed his board. Is that a thing you do in surfing? He was prepared for it. He wanted to do it. He was choosing to do it. And he liked what it felt like. Now, the funny thing is, when I talk about how stress is individual, Guy hates public speaking. If you said to him, okay, here's your choice, give a speech or be tortured, he would go for torture every time, every time. I have seen him before speech, pacing, freaking out, doing it, redoing it. He gets clammy, his skin gets pale. He's got all those symptoms I invited you to talk about in the comments. I can do a speech. I've done a speech in front of 1,000 people. I'm fine. After I go through the Robin Williams phase of everybody out and I'm ready, I'm fine. Every one of us has different stressors. It's not like a universal thing where there's a bolt of lightning comes down and it hits everybody the same way. I'm going to now give you some examples of good stress. And our goal here, our shared goal for me and for you, is to quit stressing about stress. Now we're working on what is good stress. Granny, I kind of love you. Maybe I dislike you, but I don't believe you that there's good stress. I'm going to give you some more examples of that now. Let's start with the flow state. Do you guys know what the flow state is? That is that zone you get in when you're creating something. When you're cooking, when you're making a red sauce and you suddenly think, oh, this needs to be a tiny bit sweeter, and you know how to adjust it automatically. That's the flow state. When you're writing and it feels like the universe just downloaded 60,000 words of copy into your brain and all you have to do is catch up, that's the flow state. It happens in music where people talk about, I was just sitting there and then suddenly in 15 minutes I wrote a song. And sometimes they're one-hit wonders and that song supports them for the rest of their life. So that's the flow state. If you pay attention to your thoughts and you pay attention to when you're stressed, often a little bit of stress happens right before the flow state. I've kind of noticed it in my routine. I get in the flow state literally when I'm in the shower. That I have great ideas in the shower. All of a sudden, like everything's happening, right? But if we go back, if we do, like the moments before I get in the shower, where am I? Rushing, stressing, freaking out about how late I am. How can I be so behind when I'm 72 and I'm supposed to be retired? Like I'm busy stressing about being stressed. And then I jump in the shower. All that adrenaline is gone and I'm in the flow state and it's beautiful. Start noticing when you're in the flow state, say thank you, because that's such a beautiful thing. Some people would say it is better than sex. I guess I'm not creative enough. I wouldn't say that, but I have heard it said. So right before you got in the flow state, were you stressed? And that is an example of you having good stress. Good stress is also what motivates us to do the hard work of personal growth. You all know personal growth, personal learning, wanting to have a better life. That's not easy. You don't just push a button and say, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to have the life I always wanted to have, and I want it now. And by the way, could you deliver it on a scheduled delivery so I get more of it every day? No, it doesn't happen like that. What happens is something stresses you a little bit, and then you do the work of personal growth. On the other side of personal growth is the life, or at least movement toward the life you wanted to have. For me, I get really stressed when I feel I'm not doing my best. Stresses me out, makes me sweat, right? Just the idea that I'm not going to do my best makes me sweat. And if I'm not doing my best in front of someone I care about, oh, that's a headbanger. I hate that. So anticipating that I might not do my best when I've committed to something is really stressful for me. Without that, I would be retired in the bad sense. I would be in sweatpants, a sweatshirt with a saggy bralette on, listening to Elton John's Rocket Hour, right? For the 1100th time. I would be on the couch, just sort of sprawling out. And the only people who would be happy are the animals in the house who think I'm a better cushion than the couch is. But I wouldn't be doing anything. I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing anything if it weren't for good stress. So the life lesson for me, for you, for all of us is that when a stressor shows up, any kind of mild short-term stressor, cold, some friend feeling like they're not so happy with this, my honey dissed me, whatever it is. You can look at that and invite it in and say, oh, welcome. Welcome to my life, stressor. And if you do that, an amazing thing starts to happen. Your thoughts change, and then your body isn't pulling down the handle to set off the emergency alarm. You're not breaking the glass. You're not pulling the red handle. You're just saying, oh, hi, it's you. Yeah, I know. I get the message. You don't have to yell at me. Whether you believe in in science, God, universal energy, or all of the above, you know that we weren't meant for a life without challenge. And I thought back to another lesson that had been presented to me that I hadn't paid enough attention to. My husband, Jimmy Pop-Pops, Love Bunny, I have different names for him. His daddy was a pediatrician, and his daddy was a pediatrician in the 50s and the 60s. And he was really great. He was so cool that when moms would call about their babies teething, he would have them start by mixing themselves a pitcher of martinis, which, today he probably would have recommended a vape. Anyway, I digress. Every time he talked to a new parent, he said, make sure that your child eats dirt. Your child needs to eat a lot of dirt. That's so weird. I mean, now the idea is protect your child from germs, bad things, put them in bubble wrap. If you can protect them, then your job is to deliver them safely in their giant bubble to adulthood. Except it doesn't work that way, right? They need to eat dirt in every way. They need to eat dirt literally. They need to eat dirt physically. They need to fall down and get up, and they need to eat dirt emotionally. They need to learn what it's like to be stressed, feel bad, get over it. So here's the life-changing idea I had in my life. I dropped, I've picked it back up, and now I'm giving it to you so you can hang on to it more tightly. But Dr. Selye said to me and said to many others is it's not the stress that kills you. It's how you feel about the stress that kills you. It's not the stress that kills you. It's how you feel about it. That's why people in the military can go into battle because they feel like they're doing the right thing. That's why moms and even grandmas can lift up cars. That's why people can live through horrible treatments. I was just thinking about Jeremy Renner, who got run over by a snowplow, the actor, you know him, and got better because his body was completely stressed. He was full of broken bones. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to get through this. So what is that? That is saying, I'm going to choose to look at stress as a good thing. I'm going to embrace it. And I'm going to understand that it's a tool. It is a tool that has been given to me to make my life better, for me to make my life all that it can be. So I started working on the idea of being less stressed about surfing. And I thought, okay, my goal is to just be less stressed about the idea. And so I went out and I bought half of a wetsuit that I can zip up and I can wear it to my water aerobics with all the other old ladies. And I can imagine myself surfing. And sometimes when I imagine myself surfing and a big wave coming, I don't even get so scared. So that's my wish for you. See if you can go up, welcome stress, give it a big hug, say, I want you to be my bestie, okay? Tell me your experience of stress. Tell me what would be most helpful for you. Would you like to know what to do about bad stress, how to maybe convert it, how to stop it, how to reframe it? I'm here. I will be stressed if you don't speak to me. Bye.